Hey everybody, welcome to Shorten Designs. Today what I want to do is show you how to hem your jeans while keeping the original stitching and edge intact. I just want to show you why that's important. I have a jean leg here in front of me and you can see that it's got some really cool top stitching and the edge has been carefully distressed by the manufacturer. This is how these jeans were purchased. And if I were to cut off this hem to take off the amount of extra length I needed and then turn the edge up and hem it, it could look lovely. You can do a very nice job doing that. You can use a heavy top stitching thread to replicate this stitching. But all of this distressed area, you know, the fading around the stitching and this distressed edge to this hem would be lost. And a lot of times the stitching at the bottom is unique and you wouldn't be able to even reproduce it. So I'm going to show you a way to hem your jeans while leaving all of this intact. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is have the person who's wearing the jeans put them on inside out and button them. You don't have to worry about the zipper or the button fly. Just button them and have them sitting on the waist where you're going to wear them. Then what you're going to do is you're actually going to pinch out the extra length. Do that somewhere between the knee and the hem. It doesn't need to be right near the hem. And actually it's easier to see what the hem is doing if you shorten, take out the extra up a little higher. So you can see here I've pinned out extra that was too long. Okay, so these are a pair of my husband's jeans and I had him put them on inside out, and what I did was I pinned out the extra length about 5 or 6 inches from the hem. So you can see that I know how much I need to shorten it here, and I was able to see how the hem was sitting on his shoe when he was wearing them. So if you have to hem your own jeans and you don't have help, you can pinch out an amount you think is what you need and then try them on and you'll be able to see if that's right or wrong. So this is really a good way to do it if you're hemming your own jeans by yourself as well. Just remember, don't pull your pants up too high or push them down too low on your waist. Make sure they're sitting really nicely where they need to be on your waist, because that can really affect the length of the leg as well. So once you have your extra length pinned out, what you're going to do is you're going to measure how much that is. And I just want to show you, this is my front of my leg and this is the back. And I'm just going to make an F here so you can keep track of what I'm doing for front. And this is my back of my leg. A lot of times in the front, you have to take out more than in the back because it's sitting on top of your shoe. So I'm going to measure this to see how it fit. And I need to take out 2 inches because there's 1 inch here and it's a double fold. So I've got 2 inches in the front. Okay, so in the back, it's closer to 3/4. Actually between 5/8 and 3/4. I'm going to do 3/4. Okay, so now we know how much we need to take out. So we're going to draw some lines on our fabric. I'm going to draw a line across the front of my hem about, you know, about 3/8 of an inch above the top of the original hem. And I'm going to continue that line all the way around. Now, what I'm going to do, in the center of the front of my leg, I'm going to measure up 2 inches because remember, I'm taking out 2 inches. I'm going to make a line that's sort of centered in the middle of the leg, kind of like this, at 2 inches. All right. I'm going to leave about 1 inch on either side of my line where the seams are. So it's going to go like that. Now in the back, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches because remember, it was only 3/4 of an inch. So in the back, I'm going to make my line 1.5 inches. Okay, so I've got 1.5 inches there. Then what I'm going to do to connect these 2 lines is I'm going to fold my leg through the side and inseam. I'm going to split the difference basically to make a neat transition from front to back. I'm going to take a little off the front and add a little in the back going towards the side. Okay, so do you see what I did? I trimmed a little off and I added a little there. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing on the inseam. All right, so see how I connected those two lines? So now I've got a smooth transition from shortening the front a little bit a little bit more, and the back a little bit less. And depending on the shoes you wear and how you like your hem to sit on the top of your shoe, there may be no difference, or there may be a little bit less of a difference. But this was a 1/2 inch difference, and that's how it looks running through the side seam and the inseam. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin the lower line I drew to the higher line I drew, like this. And I'm just going to go around and pin it all the way around. Okay, see how I'm matching the pin right here with that line? That's how I can tell I'm hitting both lines, because I'm pinning through from the one line to the other line like that. See how I'm matching them? All right, so now that I've pinned out the excess length, I'm going to go to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew on this line. All right, my machine is a flatbed machine, and I can't take an accessory tray off and sew on the arm. So I actually have to turn my leg right side out so I can sew inside the circle. That makes it a lot easier to be accurate. All right, so that means my pins are backwards, so I'm just going to switch them around, making sure I'm keeping everything even. All right, so I'm going to start somewhere along my hem. It really doesn't matter, because no, you're not going to really see the stitching. You want to use a relatively short stitch length. So I'm going to set my stitch length on 2.5. That's a little bit shorter than I normally would garment sew with, because we want this to be a nice tight seam, because we don't want this to show from the right side. So shorten your stitch length to about 2 to 2.5, and just stitch all the way around on this line. When you go over your seam allowances, make sure they're facing the original direction of how they were facing before. Okay, I'm coming back to my start point. I'm just going to overlap it about 1/4 inch. I'm going to back tack just to make a secure ending. All right, so this is what we have now. We have a little seam right above our original seam. The next step is we're going to go to the iron and we're going to give this a really good press. We want to press the folded extra down. So basically, for this first step, I'm just going to press right along my seam. And I'm going to pull the hem with my other hand to make sure it's nice and flat. See the difference between this and this? See how when it's really pressed, it's barely noticeable? See the difference, how it almost disappears? So pressing it really well is super important. All right.